Hello, everyone. This is going to be short and sweet today because I have to go call my parents and find out, make sure that they survived this latest series of massive strikes by Russia against Ukraine in retaliation for Operation Spiderweb. So here is what's going on. There's three major stories that I am keeping an eye on. One is the repatriation of the bodies of the dead. So Russia is accusing Ukraine of postponing this particular operation. Basically, the returning of the bodies of Russian soldiers back to Russia. Before everybody starts pointing fingers at Ukraine, I'd like to point out that Ukraine is being bombed while this is happening. So, as I said, I'm treating this as a developing story, but I think the explanation is pretty simple. Russia had unleashed these massive hundreds of drones and missiles attacks on Ukraine. They basically don't have time to dig up the bodies, put them on trucks, and deliver them to their rendezvous point. That literally is likely what the cause is. So, y'all, you want your bodies back? Maybe, like, I don't know, stop bombing the country that you expect to deliver them? It's just a suggestion. Just say. Now, this is amusing in sort of a very sad way. The analysts are saying that Putin had yet to retaliate fully for Operation Spiderweb. Really? Like, what's he gonna do? Start a war? Oh, wait. Done it. Unleash hundreds of drones and missiles on Ukrainian civilians? Done that to murder civilians? Done that. What? If this is not in earnest, so what? Some people are saying he's going to drop a nuclear bomb. No. Here's the thing, folks. You need to understand that Putin wants Ukraine. And I mentioned this before. Any and all assumptions about this war should be based on the premise that Putin wants Ukraine. Now, his poodles like Medvedev, Peskov, Lavrov, and so on and so forth keep threatening, oh, we're going to go scorched earth. But in truth, Ukraine would be no good to them if it's just a nuclear desert. If they bomb out all of the infrastructure and particularly all of the heavy industry enterprises, that would be a huge loss to them. Because they don't just want Ukraine, the territory, they want Ukraine's industry. And Ukraine has a vast ferrous and non-ferrous metal industry. Huge. That is something I actually know a few things about, since both my grandfathers worked in it, and I grew up in a city where this was the thing. This was the industry that sustained the city of Zaporizhia. So, I'm not saying it's impossible, I'm saying it's unlikely. Meanwhile, Ukraine continues unleashing drones. Some of them are duds, for the sole purpose of wreaking chaos and disrupting Moscow's air traffic. Again, the stuff that they're sending against Moscow, chances are they're not even carrying any payload. They're just there for funsies, just to give them the nervous shakes. But here's a real one. there was another drone attack that sparked a fire at the Azot chemical plant in the Tula region. And that is more important because that is something that would be feeding the military that would be supplying Russian army with chemicals and explosives. Now, this is very early days. This is a developing story, but I wanted to share it. I will be keeping an eye on it through the course of the next few days. Many people are calling it Operation Spiderweb 2.0. We know very few details at this point. I only know about it because I have access to Ukrainian sources and I can read and understand Ukrainian, Russian, and Polish. So, what is this about? Similar but different from the Operation Spiderweb installment 1. What we're hearing so far is that there was a train that was carrying grain and military equipment. The cars were sort of interspersed. That the hatches opened on the grain containers in that train, and drones came out, attacked the train engine, stopped the train, and then destroyed all of the military equipment that was on that train. The train was headed to the border, so there was no doubt that these military supplies were intended for Russian army fighting in Ukraine. Like I said, this is early days, but based on Russia's response to Operation Spiderweb 1.0, when they started checking all the trucks, my questions to them is, are you going to start checking all the trains too? Which is just fine, because that is going to snarl their cargo transportation and cause massive delays and millions of dollars of losses. So that's just fine with me. But like I said, this is very early days. We're just getting a trickle of information about this from Ukraine. So more to come.